when Mattel was able to get the rights to make Filmation characters in the Masters of the Universe Classics line in about, well, was it mid 2012? Well, it was a little overwhelming because there's a lot of characters from Filmation, like a lot. And this, I mean, this didn't just like double our potential character load, it, exploded it. Not only could we redo main characters in this way, but there were so many original characters created for the show because, well, the original contract allowed them to do that. They didn't have to just do Mattel characters. And they ranged from the amazingly cool to the amazingly silly, and figuring out which ones we were going to put into the Classics line with very limited slots, and sort of this late into the line, we'd already been like 4 or 5 years in the line, and suddenly now the floodgates open. So obviously, a lot had to go into selection because we knew the demand for Filmation figures was very high. And part of this, or at least part of the process of figuring out who to make, was looking at who fans made themselves. And there's a lot of really, really cool customs out there of so many of the characters that were original to the Filmation series but never made it out as a toy. And a lot of people have even seen these images and think that, oh yeah, that was a toy. I remember even having it. It's like this Mandela effect for MOTU. Now, we also, though, looked at fan art, not just action figure customs, and just to see who were people doodling, because doodling and drawing a character is one of the biggest ways that you can show you love a character, if you will, and toy companies really pay attention to this, because if you're taking the time to draw a character, it means you have interest in them, and hey, what better way to reward that interest than with a very own 6.5, 6.25-inch fully articulated, hand-painted Batros action figure. So yes, Batros was going to be the next breakout star to leave the television world behind and actually become a three-dimensional figure. While he never had a figure in the vintage line, he really did feel like he could have fit in. I mean, he felt very much like a Skeletor villain. The colors popped, the icons very much matched the way the characters were, and doing him in Classics became not only a labor of love to get this character that people had waited so long for, but he was very sort of MOTU based. The shared parts, the way Filmation designed him, was he looked very much like a He-Man in the Masters of the Universe character. So, furry shorts, basic human arms and legs and torso. So, let's talk a little bit about who is Batros, but the point being is he translated quite easily into a figure, although we had to really look at how we were going to do those wings. We'll get to that in a moment. All right, so as I noted, Filmation, yep, you figured it out. He was one of Skeletor's cronies, but he also kind of went off on his own and sort of spoiled the fun, and before he was sort of reined back in. And part of his allure is probably, one, his colors. He, between the red of the bat wings, the blue on the furry shorts, and the hat, or the face, the hair, and then the light purple skin. He really does pop. Spicor's got the purple skin, but he doesn't have that. The red really does work so well with that. And he's got really cool visual powers, too. He's got all the things that make a cool action figure. So why is it taking this long? I mean, come on, you put a bat on a guy's chest and it basically means they're going to become an action figure. So it's almost puzzling that he was never included in the vintage line. But like I said, that's what Classics is all about, is sort of taking those childhood memories and now giving it to the adult collector so we have control over it and can feel a sense of accomplishment and ownership over characters, scenes, episodes we love, and that was a big part of why we were so excited to do Filmation characters. And with so many customs and fan art of Batros, he was a choice from day one. I don't think we were ever going into Filmation and saying we're not doing Batros. I think even like the short list of like top 10, if we could only do 10 characters, which, we knew we'd do more than that, he was always in there. Now, to clarify something, and, thank you to Attorney of Fact Files, he's not a part of the evil Horde, despite having a big Batman Beyond logo on his chest. So the Horde hadn't been created yet at this point. He's less, I guess, of a Batman and more of a man-bat, I guess. I don't know. The 6 of one, half dozen of another, but I guess he's got more bat in him than man, twisted and evil. Well, he is evil. He steals books. That's his evil plot. He's a book thief. Another reason I was excited to have him in, because I thought we were going to be able to include like a whole bunch of books. but that unfortunately just the tooling budget did not allow that. It would have been cool though if he came with like a little throne of books, or hey, we could have just like repacked Egon's books in with him. Did we have that tool, or could we do that? I don't know. Is that a Sony tool? It gets very confusing with which tools you can use and which lines. Yeah, I guess that would have been a Sony tool. That's why we couldn't use it. In fact, that's why Granamir was going to have his own books. All right, so moving on. He was not in the 2000X series, so he didn't get the privilege of getting a redesign the way characters like Evil Seed did. But it didn't stop fans from reimagining what he could have looked like had he been done in the 2000X style. And yeah, I think he would have looked pretty badass. Maybe a little bit more like a Horde member than intended with the red bat symbol on his chest. And it's cool to see the way different people envisioned him. I especially thought this one was cool, noting he was like an evil Spallian. Spallians were introduced as a bat race in the 2000X series, and that actually kind of makes a lot of sense that he would have been a member of the Spallians. I probably should have seen that coming. But when it came to writing his bio, that did not fall to me. So I was definitely a little exhausted from bio writing. I'd written 250 plus of them, and Mary Rickford, who was the copywriter at this point on the Boys Action brands when I was moved over into marketing, she was really excited to write some bios. And I was like, please, God bless, absolutely. So she did all the bios for the 2013 Filmation characters, and I think a handful of others, but then I picked it up again. But I was really glad to have her help. And she more or less summarized the episode he was in, which is really the way to go about it. And yeah, it worked really well. And again, so many shared parts. We really just had to figure out a way to do the wings and have them attach under the mid bicep, which didn't prove to be difficult at all. I mean, this is something you see this on like the Vulture Marvel Legends figure, and it works really well to not hinder the articulation but still be very true to the original source material. And I did want to kind of do a magic blast effect, but as I've mentioned in a few videos, that kind of got shot down by design. We learned a lot, though, about, draping, sort of capes and wings and, that kind of thing over figures' shoulders, both from Shadow Weaver and the Sorceress. Yes, I know fans were not happy about the way we did the Sorceress. I still was. And, of course, so much from that Harry Potter broom, the lessons you learned from that, and not to recreate that. So we were really good at taking notes about what came before and trying to find ways to do things that worked. And he wound up getting Spicor's club instead of a magic burst. That's what happens. You just can't win every battle. There's, you only have so much political capital you can spend, and that was sort of where the line had to be drawn. But, Spicor's mace works, and he packed out really well. Nice colors, pops so well. I think he would work great at retail. Love to see this guy in Origins. And maybe then he can actually come with some books because, it works great, right? I mean, what better bad guy for parents to get behind than somebody who tries to steal books? Because, that's like a positive message, right? We got to get the books back. So, yeah, totally would work at retail, right? Parents would get behind this. There's no, political objection to a purple bat skin guy. All right, well, join us next time, same Batros channel, where we'll dip deeper into Masters Universe Classics, but not with a bat character. We're going to get to some pointy, stabby things. But there will be an owl.